All right, let's talk editing 101. So first thing, you want to have a folder with all of your photos in it. So I went ahead and I know which one I want to edit. You can star it with the three dots and add star. You could put them in a folder, but this is the one I want, so I'm going to press the download. I have already previously downloaded all of them. You will see them down here. So then once you go to Photoshop, this will be your home page. So I already just did a practice edit, so they're right here, but I can also say open, and I could open my photos from downloads. You find the one you want. Then I'm going to say open, and then we will have our photo open in Photoshop. So one of the first things we want to do is we want to crop our photo. So that is over here with this icon. If you hover over it, it'll show you a little quick clip of what it does. And also, if you notice next to the words crop tool, it has C in parentheses. That is the key we can press on the keyboard to quickly go to that tool. So if I pressed C on my keyboard, it'll take me to the crop tool. Now it defaults to this, and if I were to immediately draw, it could have some issues. If I just click in once, then I'll see this grid. Now I have some different options of what I want to crop to. If I click up here, then I get my different options. Now we print to a 5x7. You could also do a smaller rectangle at 4x5 or a 5x5 square. It is up to you. I tend to like a 5x7. It will default to vertical. I wouldn't do this photo vertically, but I can press these double arrows and it will take me to horizontal or vertical. So I like horizontal. Now I could certainly leave it right here, but if I click on my pad and then kind of move it over, I can then move that rectangle. I can subtly do it with the arrows on my keyboard as well. So then it's that game of what do I care about in this photo? I don't think there's really much on that right-hand side. There's more on this left. Now I still think there's some extra negative space here and I want to bring it in even more. Personally, I love a good tight crop. So I'm going to go up here in the corner where I get those double arrows and I'm going to bring it in. Now this is following a little bit of rule of thirds because I'm going to crop it with the mushroom, my main focal point, in the upper right-hand corner. See, it's going through this point. So then if I like it, I can press check or I can press enter return on my keyboard. Now what that is telling me is, okay, this is now cropped, but I need to go in to image. Now it's up at the top. I don't know if y'all can see this in the recording, but up on the top, there's image, and I'm going to image size. Now it is saying it's a 9.85 by 13.7, but we know we cropped it to a 5x7, so we just have to type that in. Now 4.99 is fine. You can also go to, it'll kind of default a little bit over. That is cool. Your resolution might be 72 here. If it is, then we would want to make that a 300. It depends on your camera and what you used and what your settings are on your camera. But it would probably be 72, so we want to make that 300, 5x7, and then press OK. Now I made it a little bit smaller, so we want to see that a little bit better. Shortcut for that is hold Command and press 0, and it will take it to a full screen. Or Command minus to go farther away and Command plus to go closer. So I'm going to go Command 0, and then I tend to like to go Command minus one more time to see that outer edge. So now that I've cropped, and y'all, you guys might see something a little bit different. You guys can actually customize your Photoshop and move your tools around. I'm resizing this for the recording. And I can move it all around. So I can move like layers here, but I like my layers right here. Doesn't really matter tab where it is. And then I like my history right here. It might be here, and I can see just drag and I can drop it where I want. So that way I can see all of my steps. I'm going to put it right here. So it depends. I think y'all's default's right here. And then you have your adjustments. These are your different layers. Now, if you ever want to change what you see here, you can go to your window at the top and you can check and select whatever you would like to see. So now there's the history that we've done so far. I'm going to go back to my layers. And I want to go ahead and make a layer copy. I do that by pressing Command J, or I can do some stuff down here. I can do new layers, but I love shortcuts, so I'm going to go to Command J. You can even go up to layer and duplicate layer there, but that takes a little bit longer. So Command J. So that way I have my original and I have my layer copy. I can double click in if I want to and say, all right, that's gonna be my edits. And I could double click on this one and I could call that my original. So now I have my 2 layers. So then some general stuff. So I've cropped, I've gone into my image size. So now I can start messing with this photo in my adjustments. These are like your different options on Snapseed. I hover over it and it tells me what it does. Every time I click, it makes a new adjustment layer. So they're not destructive and I can always take them away. So I can mess with brightness. I'm gonna take it down a little bit. I can mess with a little bit of contrast. You can go drastically to see that difference and then pick which way you want to go. So I'm going to do some brightness contrast. I don't need to mess with my exposure because it actually was shot pretty good. Hue and saturation. Desaturate or saturate. Hue will mess with my color tones and make it look crazy, like something out of Alice in Wonderland. Beware of going too far. Adjustments. Color balance will skew it like a filter. Say I like, let's see what that, maybe I go back to my adjustments and I keep on working with this. Or maybe I go, let me click this eye and see it, but without it, sorry, and then with it. I don't like it, so I'm going to unclick that eye, but I can let it sit there, or I can press delete to get rid of it. Say delete. I don't want that adjustment there. Then I can also go to photo filter. I can have a warming filter, or I can click where it says filter and I can change to all these different options like sepia. That's how intense, that density is how intense I want that filter to be. And then I can even click on color and I can custom pick whatever color I would like to make my own filter for that. That's how you do that. Again, click the eye to see without it or with it. I'm going to turn that off, but maybe y'all like a vintage look. I just press delete on my keyboard for that. Adjustments, I can do black and white here. And what I love about Photoshop is this, I'm going to expand this so you can see it better, is I have all this color control of value. Now, if it's not in it, you really won't see a difference, but there was a lot of brownish, reddish tones. So if I move that scale, I can mess with the value from black to gray to white of the reds. Same with yellows. Same with greens. So then I can uncheck that. I could see like, do I want it to be black and white? Do I not want it to be? I like the color, so I'm going to leave it there. And if I did it black and white, to be honest, I would probably go back into my brightness contrast layer. I can just click on that layer to make changes. And I could then go back in and mess with that contrast and brightness because it will be different if it's color versus black and white. Now say I'm like, I don't like that. I can go to my history and I can back it up to where I last edited. So say I don't even want that photo filter. I'm just going to leave it on this last part before I even did the photo filter or black and white. And I don't need to delete these steps. I'm just going to go back to my layers and I'm just going to keep on working and it'll automatically delete all those other steps in my history. So those are your general adjustments really quickly. Y'all hover over them, see what it does, click on them. They're not destructive, so you can always delete them later. So then that's crop, that's some general adjustments. So then other things I can do is I'm going to go over here to these tools, and the ones that I love are the dodge and burn tool. Now, so it's set to burn right now, but I can press Control and right click and I can change my tool to the dodge tool, the burn, or the sponge. Dodge will lighten, burn will darken, sponge will spot, saturate, or desaturate the areas I want. So that will remove or add more saturation and color intensity in those areas. So let's start with the dodge tool. And if I go up here, those are the different options of what it's going to do. I tend to like midtones. Exposure is how intense I want it to be. I'm going to take that down because I think 70 is kind of a lot, and do like 30%-ish. That is up to you how intense you want that tool to be. You click on exposure. So then it's a really tiny circle right now. So I'm going to use the brackets. That's your straight. Looks like kind of like parentheses. Oh, I need to make sure. Oh, that's weird. It won't let me resize. Okay. Oh, it's because I'm clicked up in here. Let's go out. Let's go to size. I can mess with it here. and change the size as well, but it should, oh, there it goes. So now I'm pressing my brackets. It's because I had the exposure percentage selected, so it wouldn't let me do that. And you get that little, I'm not gonna work ding. So I'm gonna Command plus to get a little bit closer. And wherever I sweep, I need to make sure I'm on my edits layer. Oops. I don't want to be on adjustments layer, otherwise it won't be affected. Go on your edits layer, and wherever I sweep over, it will make it brighter. And I have it on 30%. If I upped that intensity, it would be more. So I sweep over where I want it to be lighter. I can go back to Control click and go to the burn tool. I'm at 42%. I think that's okay. And I'm going to use my brackets to make it bigger. And I'm going to darken insert areas. You could do this for highlights and lowlights in here. You can see that it's even bringing out some details there, sweeping over. Certainly I could go big, but then if I'm doing that, I should just use the adjustment layer and have it affect the whole thing. I could even do a little bit of a vignette this way and take a burn tool in my corners, and that will darken my edges. I could sweep over a whole thing. Now, I've already done some work here, and I think in my tutorial I have y'all saving earlier, so let's go ahead and save, file, save as, Jones Gap, I'm going to call it Mushrooms Edit, so I know that's one I'm working with, and I'm not going to save to my downloads. I want to save to my Photo 1 folder. That's recent places. If you don't see the folder you want, just go to Documents and select the folder or make a new one. And I'm going to leave it as a Photoshop. Later we'll save as a JPEG. So press save. Okay. So remember, I also have the sponge tool. I can go in and I can make it desaturate or saturate to add more color or take it away and mess with how intense it is with the flow. Maybe I have a flaw and I want to go over to my spot healing brush. And I'm going to use those brackets. And maybe I have some kind of fleck of something. I really don't have anything to remove here, but let's pretend I do. And I'm going to make it smaller and maybe get rid of something that's bugging me. But you can get really bogged down with that tool. But remember, I'm on my edits layer here. So if I check that, you can see my original and my after. You can see where I've dodged and lightened. So those are some of the basic tools here. If you hover over, remember, you can see what it does. We'll later use quick selection. Later we'll use brush tool. Clone stamp is cool because you can remove something that it does a little bit more than the spot healing brush tool. So like maybe I want to take over here. I want to hold Alt Option to copy a section, and maybe I want to then cover something up with that moss. So I just Alt Option, click to copy, and then click to paste. So that's a clone stamp. It doesn't blur like the spot healing brush does. And then click that eyeball and see what I just removed. So maybe I get bogged down. I don't like that dirt. So that's really, really quick editing 101. So then I'm going to go to File, Save As when I'm done. And so then I'm going to save, click Format, and go to JPEG and press Save. And then I don't need to mess with any of this. I'm just going to press OK. Then that edited photo is in that folder. So I have two versions. I have my Photoshop and I have my JPEG format. .psd is my Photoshop. .jpg is my JPEG. That would be the one I would submit because it is flattened and it will go into a Google Doc or Google Slides. Google Slides will not accept PSD. It's too big of a photo memory. So JPEG is a lot more user-friendly and usable in other formats. All right, so that is editing 101. Thanks for watching.